Thanks everyone for joining us today for this May webinar. At least in my neck of the woods, a lovely sunny May day. My name's Tim Loudon. I'm the manager of the Digital Analytics program, and you're joining us today for our DAP Learning Series where we talk about becoming a DAP Certified Analyst. So a few things to go over before we get started. Firstly, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and my fantastic colleague Freddie Blicker, who's also joining us on the call today, will be relaying those at the end, and hopefully we can get some robust discussion going. Secondly, as always, we will be sending out a follow-up email with helpful links and a survey. Please take that survey and let us know what you thought of this webinar. We use that information to try to make things as meaningful as possible for you. And thirdly, I'll also be sending out this slide deck. So there's a slide at the end with the links for information that are relevant to this topic, and you'll be able to access the slides. And as always, it's being recorded and it will be placed on our YouTube playlist, the analytics playlist. So if for some reason you need to jump off, you won't have to worry about missing any content. For those of you that are with us, obviously, you're able to access Zoom. I know that there were some folks who said they couldn't access Zoom. It doesn't seem that we can find a platform that works for every agency, but we do our best, and that's why we record this and post it. All right, with that, I will go ahead and get started. So today's webinar is going to be much more, I guess a little more lighthearted. It's less instructional than our usual trainings and more informational. And I doubt that it'll take the full hour, but we just wanted to give you some more information about why we created this program and what it is. So we've got my nice, I forwarded the slide maybe a bit fast there. You see this man staring at his computer very inquisitively. So we'll try to figure out what he's asking us in a second. So firstly, today we're going to talk about why did we create the DAP Certified Analyst exam and how can it help you? What is it? I'm going to say that number 2 is the one that goes with this photo. This man is asking, what is this thing? We'll try to answer that for you. Who's eligible and how do you take the exam? And what you need to know in order to pass the exam. And then we'll have a slide with the resources that will help you out. So again, I don't anticipate this taking certainly not even close to the full hour, unless you all have a lot of questions for me, but we'll find out. So firstly, why did we create the DAP Certified Analyst title and the DAP Certified Analyst exam? Firstly, we know that there aren't many analytics specific jobs in government. There are a few. And if you are someone who's on the call right now who has as your sole job to work on analytics stuff, that's pretty amazing. And kudos to your agency. And when I say that, I don't mean Google Analytics in specific, but things, other tools, A/B testing tools, heat mapping tools, web analytics tools, various different things that you can use. Often those types of responsibilities fall on folks that wear many other hats. So for those of you who wear many other hats, we wanted to create something to be able to show that you've gained valuable skills in understanding Google Analytics and specifically understanding how the DAP account works because it's so different. So you can put this on a performance plan to say by the end of the year you want to accomplish passing the exam, or you could take it just to prove to your leadership that you've accomplished a mastery of DAP, just to be able to say, hey, look, you should trust me in these reports that I'm sending you because I've passed this thing that, at least in theory, is supposed to show that you know what you're talking about. We wanted to create something to recognize those of you who are with us who regularly attend our training. So over the past, let's see, almost 5 years that I've been the program manager of this program, we've really tried to offer a wide variety of training topics. And as you know, we usually do them monthly through most of the year. And at this point, I think we've accumulated something along the lines of like 40 training videos that we have in our analytics playlist. And we wanted something to be able to show that folks who take the time to attend these trainings and practice these skills, to show, just recognize you that you've created this environment where you're able to use this tool to your advantage. And this certification is just one way of recognizing that. And then, as I mentioned before, the DAP account is very unique, as those of you who have worked in it a lot know. So other certifications may not cover more DAP-specific aspects. And when I talk about other certifications, generally, I am talking about the Google Analytics individual qualification. So you all can go take this. I took it a couple of years ago. I think they've updated it since then. Certainly, it is an interesting endeavor and something that is worthwhile. But at least when I took it, it was very, very focused towards advertising and marketing, the use of Google Analytics for ads and marketing, which, as we know in government, and especially in the DAP account, we don't really get into. So the Google Analytics individual qualification, it's a little more involved than the DAP Certified Analyst exam is, but maybe something you want to look into, but not specific to us. So this is more saying you know how to work the DAP account. What are the benefits to you for passing? Firstly, you get added to the Certified Analyst listserv, where you can ask advanced questions. I sort of created this listserv as a place that would be somewhere where you wouldn't have to email the entire DAP listserv. So the entire DAP listserv is more used for, you know, getting information out about these types of trainings, about things that apply to every type of user. But we don't often find that folks ask questions and sort of try to crowdsource answers because there are like 3,000 people on the DAP listserv. As opposed to in the Certified Analyst listserv, I think we have right now somewhere along the lines of 30-something people who have passed the test and are in that particular listserv. I will tell you that it hasn't been used a lot yet. But hopefully after this webinar, many of you attending will take and pass the exam, and you can use that listserv to be a place where you can ask questions of the community and be able to, you know, solve your analytics questions. Secondly, you can show your leadership that you have a great grasp on Google Analytics in the DAP account. So again, whether that be on your IDP or your performance plan or just informally, I just think it's nice to be able to have something to say, hey, boss, you didn't hire me because I had Google Analytics knowledge, but I've gained it, and that should be something you should be proud of. And of course, you know, self-satisfaction of getting through the exam and being able to pass it. And you get a fancy certificate. And I know all of you are like David Rose right now, and oh, great. You're looking forward to another certificate. Hey, we send you a certificate. You can do with it what you want. You can throw it in the trash. You can print it out and put it on your wall. That's up to you. All right, so now many of you are asking, all right, you told us why you created it. You told us what the benefits are. What is this thing? Well, I'm glad you asked. So the DAP Certified Analyst exam is a 50-question test, and it's offered on Google Forms. Now, I know some of you are about to tell me that your agency blocks Google Forms. We are prepared for that. We also have a PDF if you can't access Google Forms. So you can take the PDF and fill it out on Adobe or whatever PDF software you have, email it back to us, and we will hand grade it to make sure that you can get your certificate and get added to the listserv if you pass. So preferably on Google Forms if your agency allows it, but if not, we have a PDF as well. And it's designed to prove that you know your DAP Google Analytics stuff. And when I say that, I want to make the note, and it's listed in the actual exam as well. Oh, it's not on this page actually. But over here on the DAP Certified Analyst page, we make it clear that the exam is not intended to be easy. So we did not, Freddie and I spent quite a bit of time creating this exam, and we didn't want to make it a check the box endeavor. I don't think this is something that if you've never used Google Analytics, I don't think you could take this test and just be able to kind of breeze through it. That's not what we created it for. We really want it to be something that shows that you have taken the time to understand some of the nuances of Google Analytics and specifically of DAP Google Analytics. So it's not something that a real novice should take. It's something that's more targeted at intermediate to advanced Google Analytics users. And in order to pass, you have to score a 40 or above, which would be 80% to show that, that you have mastery. I thought about making that number higher because in the folks that have taken it so far, we do get some like 40s and 41s, but for now it's still at a 40. So you can miss 10 questions of the 50, which is kind of generous. But as I just showed you on the other page, we've got a page up here on DigitalGov in the DAP documentation that tells you a little bit more about it and how you can go about requesting the exam and the study materials, which I'm going to show you in just a little bit. So we have your preparation covered. So the two main ways that you should prepare if you are studying for this exam are the YouTube Analytics playlist, which contains a whole bunch of videos, and I'm not saying you should necessarily watch them all because there's probably 40 hours of content in here, but there are some that are very specific to questions that we ask. And I'm sorry, in the exam itself, we do actually often point you to specific videos that will help you if you need to brush up and get a little bit of a review. So the playlist is one big source. And the other one is the Certified Analyst Study Guide, which we have created. And it's located in our GitHub repo. And folks have pointed out before that the way GitHub uploads PDFs, if you just store a PDF in here, you can view it here, but you can't actually, it's just an image when you see it here. You can't, like, for example, search, do like Command F or anything. So this is just mainly for you to see. But if you go here, you can hit download, and you can download the PDF yourself, and then you'll be able to interact with it. The links will be live, and you can do Command F and things like that. So Freddie and I, we created this, I think about 1.5 years ago at this point, maybe almost 2 years ago. And just before we went to do this webinar, we also went through it all and made sure that it was updated. We also changed a few questions on the exam to make them a little more pertinent to Google Analytics today. But basically, it's a pretty long document. And we've sort of outlined everything we could, from implementation to standard reports, structure of the account, the benefits of what you get in the DAP account, standard reports, custom reports, and so on and so on. And let me see if I can, oh, it doesn't let me actually do that. I'll have to use my 2-finger scroll. So it is 40 pages long, and you can see we end it with a little appendix that has a glossary. So there's a lot of different things that you can read here that if you take the time to go through these 40 pages, and it's a lot of pictures, so it's not really that many pages, we have taken a lot of effort to demonstrate and use arrows where necessary in these screenshots to be able to show you exactly what we mean when we're talking about all these different topics. So that link is included in this slide deck, and you can go through it. And if you get through this, it will equip you with almost everything you need to know to answer the questions in the exam. Maybe not everything, but close. So questions we've gotten regarding the exam. The first one is, if I fail, can I take it again? And the answer is, of course. We're not going to limit you to only one attempt. This is designed to be able to, track your progress. And if you take it once and you get a 38, you can study up some more and take it again. But by that token, people also always ask us, will you tell me the answers to the questions I got wrong? And the answer to that is generally no, because in an effort to try to keep the exam a true test of your knowledge, we're not going to share the correct answers with you. And if you don't pass the first time you take it, a lot of folks say, well, which questions did I miss? And we're not going to actually point you to the specific questions that you missed so you can choose a different multiple choice answer until you get it right. We're going to make you have to figure out which questions you missed. So again, not trying to make this like a super easy activity. We're trying to make it something that's really a test of what you can do. But it's still only 50 questions and it's multiple choice. Okay, who's eligible to take it? All DAP users. So that means either federal employees or approved contractors with access to the DAP Google Analytics account. If you are not a federal employee or contractor with access to the DAP Google Analytics account, we will not send you the link to the form. You could download the PDF and send it to us, but we will verify if you are a user. And if you're not a user, we won't send you the certificate or add you to the listserv. So that's pretty straightforward. If you want to take the exam, but you're not a current DAP user, you can email us at our dap@support.digitalgov.gov email address and request access. But again, I would say if you've never used Google Analytics before, you probably want to give yourself a little bit of time to do some studying and learn the ropes before you take the exam. How do you take the exam? So you email us at the aforementioned link or the aforementioned email address, and you request the link to the exam. So I'm not putting the link to the actual exam here because this is going to go on YouTube, and I don't want a bunch of people who are not federal employees or approved contractors to be taking the exam and messing up our data in the spreadsheet. Like I said, theoretically, you could get the PDF and you can see the questions that are asked there and then take it on the exam on the form. But we will send you the link once we verify that you're an actual user after you email us. So what do we cover on the actual exam? We cover terminology and concepts. So knowing your metrics and dimensions, understanding the basic concepts around Google Analytics and web analytics. We talk about the standard reports. We talk about events. And you know, as those of you who understand the difference between the DAP account and a free independent Google Analytics account, we have events that DAP automatically tracks, and we will ask you about those. We talk about segmentation and custom reports, two things that are very important in the DAP account because of the fact that we have so many websites that are sending data into the account. Segmentation and custom reports are the two main ways that we drill down to get data for a specific site. And this is maybe the hardest section of the exam, regular expressions. So the casual Google Analytics user probably does not use regular expressions. If you advance to an intermediate to advanced user of Google Analytics, regular expressions become a very, very powerful tool and skill that you can learn. So there are questions on regular expressions, and I will tell you, I created the questions to be difficult. They are hard regular expressions questions. So getting an understanding of regex is going to help you pass the exam. And campaign URLs, which are also not just in the DAP account, but in Google Analytics in general, very worthwhile to understand. And if you work in any type of outreach in marketing or social media, or you have a newsletter that you all send to, campaign URLs are the prime method that you can really get good analysis on who is visiting your site from where. So we also cover that. I do want to show you, this is the resources page. So I do want to show you a little bit. Here is the exam itself. This is the PDF version. Again, you would download it here. You would fill it out and send it to us. And you'd need to answer every question. Almost all the questions are multiple choice where you answer one. There are two questions where it's choose all that apply. So you can see here, we've got questions like, and please don't put any answers in the chat. But you can see here, we've got questions about how to identify a returning user. This is the terminology and concepts section. It moves on to the standard report section where we have screenshots of reports and we ask you to interpret them. We also have, let's scroll down a little more here. The custom report section. Oh, this is segments here. So now we're talking about segments. Then we have custom reports, custom dashboards. We have one question on dashboards, lots of stuff on custom reports and which reports you would use. As you can see, an example of a funnel report here. And now these regular expressions questions that are pretty tough. And finally, we end with campaign URLs, a couple questions on that. So it's not, by the way, it says 53, but it's only 50 because the first couple questions are just basic information about you. So it's not something that will take a lot of your time once you actually take the exam. It's not something like the GRE where you're going to need to sit and have an essay portion and things like that. It's 50 questions. It won't take you that long. The questions are not designed to be, they're not trying to trick you, but they're trying to really make sure that you understand the concepts and have a very good grasp on what's going on. So keep in mind that sometimes the most obvious, what seems like an obvious answer, it won't be, because we're trying to really test you. So again, this is the resources pages. I've already mentioned all these things, but you'll have a slide which will bring you to them all: the DAP certification page, the playlist, the study guide, and the PDF version of the exam. And that's it. I told you all this would be pretty quick. 23 minutes. If we have some questions, maybe we'll get to 30, but I'm going to be giving you a lot of time back today because I'm not trying to demonstrate or unpack anything in the interface itself. So with that, feel free to put your questions in the chat box, and I will turn it over to Freddie to ask if there are any.
Great, thanks, Tim. Yeah, we got a couple questions so far. First one is, how do we take the exam? Can we do it from home?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I didn't mention that. So because it's on Google Forms, or even if you need the PDF, it's not something that you need to, like, you don't need to log into any special programs. There's no specific times. It's all on your own time. We're just going to send you a link, or in the case that you do it on the PDF, we'll send you the PDF, you download it, you fill it out on your own time and email it back to us. You don't need to schedule anything. It's not like the Foreign Service Officer exam. So it's all at home at your leisure.
Great. Next question that we have here is can we share the GitHub link? It looks like somebody pasted that in already. I guess, the preference would be to contact the DAP team at dap@support.digitalgov.gov. And then we can kind of shepherd you through the process of sending all the documentation and verifying that you're a registered DAP user. So definitely please feel free to reach out to us there. Next question we have here, Tim, is if we can share the YouTube playlist link. I'll pop that into the chat window for everyone. We got another question. How frequently is the exam offered?
Every minute of every day. Because it's not something that that really requires us to all be in sync or taking it at the same time, as I mentioned before. It's offered on your own time whenever you find time.
Great. Let me just go through here the other questions. We've got one. I'm a federal employee. Can I become a DAP user, and how?
Yes. So if you're a federal employee, you can email us at dap@support.digitalgov.gov and request access. And Freddie will reply back to you with some instructions. We need to get approval from your agency point of contact, and we have you fill out a registration form, and then we'll get you access. So if anyone else is on the call who doesn't already have access to the DAP Google Analytics account, you can email us there and we will get you access. But as I noted, even if you've worked in Google Analytics before, the DAP account is kind of a beast of its own. It's set up in a very different way than most other Google Analytics accounts. So take some time to get used to what you're looking at. And we also definitely recommend that you take our DAP 101 course, which is somewhere in here. We link to it from the email where we send you the instructions on after you get access. And that's the DAP 101 course is sort of the getting started course that is about 2 hours and 40 minutes long. And you can take some time to really understand the nuances of the DAP account versus a traditional Google Analytics account.
Great. Next question that we have here is, what is the difference between the Google IQ exam and the DAP exam, or are they pretty similar?
The Google IQ exam, if I remember it from when I took it years ago, is it's more in depth. And as I noted, it has a lot more that talks about things like integration of Google Ads, e-commerce. It has a lot more focus on aspects of Google Analytics that we don't really use in government. So, you know, I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from taking it. It's certainly worth taking a look at. You may want to try the DAP Certified Analyst exam first. And if you breeze through that, then go on to the Google IQ stuff, because when I took it, even as somebody who, you know, does Google Analytics as my day job, it took some studying because it was just touching on topics that were not things that I commonly use day to day in government.
Great. Next question we have here, we have somebody asking about using a VPN to access the exam on a DoD system. We can't really advise on that. You know, that each agency's system is going to be different in how you're able to access Google Forms. So I would recommend folks with those types of questions to go to your tech teams to ask for insight on that. We've got a couple people here, Tim, asking about if the PowerPoint deck is going to be shared after the webinar.
It will. Yep, I'll be emailing it out to everybody.
How long does the exam take? Is it a couple hours? That's the
I
next
would not
question.
say it's a couple hours. So 50 questions, and, you know, assuming that if you, like, it depends. If you open the Google form and you're going through question by question and you feel like you need to spend time to look up each answer, like you're not being timed, as an example. There's not a clock ticking on you. So in theory, you could open the exam and go find the answer for every question. I'm not recommending that, but I know myself and my test taking strategies, and that's maybe something that I would find myself doing. It would be more beneficial if you had all the knowledge in your head already. But if you had the knowledge all in your head already and you just went through and took it, spending maybe 30 seconds per question, that gives you, you know, less than 30 minutes. If you are gonna have to look up everything and try to figure it out as you go, then it might take a little longer, maybe an hour or two.
Great. Next question that we have here is somebody has a new employee starting who is going through the process of becoming a DAP user. But for the purposes of learning DAP, would you recommend the study guide as a good starting point for a novice?
Yeah, absolutely. I would recommend that. And thank you for whoever answered that or asked that question. The study guide is something that really covers quite a lot of ground. And I know, like, we do these videos once a month, and we've had commentary from some folks before that they don't learn particularly well on videos, or they don't take the time to sit down for an hour and watch a whole video. And I can certainly understand that. If that's the case, the study guide as something that's written, 40 pages is quite a bit to get through, but it is a really good overview of a lot of the things that you can use to form a good basis for being able to do solid reporting in Google Analytics. So I would recommend that. And for anyone else who just wants a document that will help them understand more about DAP and Google Analytics in general, I would refer them to the study guide.
Great. And we have one final question here. It's a user asking about, they're using an email that's not their own. So it sounds like their organization has one team email address.
Yeah.
Can I take the test with my own email, or do I need to register for my own email with DAP?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we do have some email addresses like that with access to DAP that are like team emails, where they have, let's say, 4 or 5 people who access DAP via the same email. Basically what we'll do is, if you email us, we will ask you which team email you are using to access DAP. And if we can verify that that team email is in our system and has access, then we'll send you the information, and the certificate and things will be specifically addressed to you individually. We just need to verify that the email address you use to access DAP is in fact in the system.
Great, and those are all the questions.
Wonderful. Well, in that case, I want to thank you all for attending today. We had like a pretty good turnout. At some point, we had over 90 participants. So very much appreciate that. I hope that you all give us an email and take a look at the exam and take it. And also, if you take the exam and pass it, we'll be putting you on that certified analyst listserv. And I encourage you to start conversation there if you have more advanced questions and let the community chime in. So with that, I want to thank our DGU counterparts, Alex and Alex, for all of their help always. They make this run so smoothly, and we appreciate them greatly. And of course, thank my steadfast colleague, Freddie Blicker, for helping us, helping me. The two of us really created the study guide and the exam questions, and it was a little bit of work. So thanks, Freddie, for helping us out on that. And we hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks for attending.